You're live.
We're
Hi.
live. We're alive and live.
2
Yes,
minutes until showtime.
So you heard. Tonight we have Kerri Hummingbird with us. Kerri Hummingbird, Sami. I know you're going to hear me referring to her as Kerri Hummingbird and Kerri Hummingbird, Sami. Sami is her married name. But that is who we have. I'm very super excited. We're going to be talking about the second wave tonight. After reading this book, I want all her other books.
So, okay, I'm gonna have to do that. I'm gonna have to just get the PDF.
Yeah, I mean, I try to do that. So I set this up like before. You know how far advanced we set up shows. So I set it up
Yes.
way before. But
Before
yeah,
me.
book.
Hey, Beth.
I couldn't stop reading this book. It was one of those.
Ooh, I like those.
Yeah, it's really well done. I'll explain it. We're going to be talking about it for the next 2 hours. So
1
y'all
minute until
will
showtime.
learn. Y'all will learn.
This is the day. This is the time to be learning stuff.
Yeah, we need to learn stuff. We need to learn stuff like this, especially
Yes.
now.
Yes, this is the perfect time for us to learn new things. And the thing is, it's not new. It's just that we don't pay attention to it. Stuff that we should know. Most of us do know it. We just
Right.
ignore it for whatever reason.
Right. But then there's always that other angle to look at something and how to do something. So, this is a different angle for some.
Beth says we are always learning. Yes, some of us are always learning, and some of us are always just like trying to ignore it. Hey, Dave.
That's true. That is true. So hopefully my voice will hang out with me this entire show. It feels like it's coming in and
Your
out.
show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening, everybody. I am Gina B, and the place to be is here with me and Mama D in the Fox Center every week from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are here and we are live streaming on YouTube as well. Please go there and subscribe. We cannot ask you enough to do that. Tonight we do have Kerri Hummingbird with us. I'm going to play a little video that explains who she is and what she does, and she'll be with us as soon as the video ends. The Fox Den welcomes Kerri Hummingbird, a soul guide, shamanic healer, award-winning author, and an inspirational speaker. She helps people to lead their lives wide awake with an authenticity, passion, and purpose that positively impacts others. She catalyzes mind shifts that transform life challenges into gifts of wisdom with her Reinvent Yourself programs for individual and group mentoring. She is the #1 international best-selling author of The Second Wave, Transcending the Human Drama, where she channels White Eagle, Ascended Master of Awakening. This is our featured book tonight in the Fox Den. In 2014, the Indie Spiritual Book Awards gave the honor of Best in Category to Awakening to Me, One Woman's Journey to Self-Love, which describes the early years of her spiritual awakening. And in 2015, it won Pinnacle Best in category for self-help and National Indie Excellence Award winner in the category for spirituality. Her 2015 best-selling book, From We to Me, Emerging Self After Divorce, reached number 16 in the divorce category on Amazon. Kerri has served as a social activist, a leader, and a philanthropist for over 3 decades. She is the founder of the Skills Not Pills movement and the host of Soul Nectar Show. Welcome to our show, Kerri. We're happy to have you. And there she is. Welcome to our show.
Oh, thank you.
I have to say something. The rock with your name on it and the hummingbird, I think that is awesome.
Yeah, isn't that cool? I
I
like
love that.
That was cool. Hi, Beth. Hi, Dave. Hi, Jonice, Jojo, Marianne. Everybody
Hey, Bob's in the room.
Billy Bob. Hi, Billy Bob. Well, I don't see him on there because he didn't comment, so I don't see that he's.
I do.
Oh, well. All right. Well, you can send him a heart for me.
Well, you can see you just can't see who.
So welcome, Kerri. I got a bunch of questions for you. Okay, now first of all, your name, Kerri Hummingbird. I love the name, and just tell people what your background is, your nationality, and such.
Well, yeah. So I'm I'm redheaded, so you can tell that I'm somewhat English Irish from origin. Most of my ancestry is English Irish, and I also have a Cherokee lineage as well. And that's the lineage that was more hidden in my ancestry. My mom's on my mom's dad's line. So mostly though, just a regular woman trying to make her way in the world, as we all are, right? Out here in the Western United States. And the hummingbird part came to me after I got divorced, because I don't know, with women, we always have to change our names, right? Like
Right?
Our names always change with the guy because of the guy.
Yep.
And, so I was like, after my divorce, I felt weird to go, kind of felt weird, like, what is my last name? And I was having like a lot of challenges with my family and everybody. So I had this vision of hummingbird in a journey, like in a spirit journey with a drum. And I was manifesting the house I'm living in right now, actually. I was drumming and I was going to like have this house. And at the end of the journey, after I'm making the whole thing up the whole way along, the end of the journey, this hummingbird in rainbow light rose up in the kitchen window of the house as I'm standing in it in my mind, just went whoosh. And it was so awe-inspiring. And I was like, that is spirit. That is not me. I didn't make that up. That just came. And so I looked up hummingbird and I realized, oh, that's me. I'm a messenger. That's who I'm meant to be. So I changed my name, to Kerri Hummingbird on social media. And now it's legally, Kerri Hummingbird. Sami, because I did get remarried. And so I took on my husband's last name.
Okay. And that's why I didn't put it in there, because I wasn't sure how to say it. So I was like, I couldn't Kerri Hummingbird, not Kerri Hummingbird, or Sami. That's right. So it's because I would have said Sammy and I would have been in trouble.
Oh, no, it's okay.
I always mispronounce everything. As you can tell, I'm from Massachusetts, so I bash the English language as it is.
I have spent time in Massachusetts as well as Connecticut, so I understand.
We were talking about that earlier, so that, yes, I know you understand. But I do think, though, with your lineage and what you went through to find out about your lineage and everything, too, and your setbacks, when you were told, like in this book, when you were told to by someone that you went up to find your lineage, it was like, oh, well, once they're out, and they can't come back in, and you got all discouraged and everything. But your ancestors were telling you no.
No, yeah, that was what you're talking about when I went to the Cherokee, when I went to the Smoky Mountains.
Right.
Because, my mom has done the genealogy and she could not get connected. We couldn't, in the third dimension, find the connection to our ancestry. We just know from family lore and from story that this person was full-blooded Cherokee. And, my grandpa knew that. Everybody knew it. So it was like, well, she could pass for white. So the whole thing got erased. And trying to make that connection is really tough. So I thought, well, if I can't make it in the third dimension, then I'll go. I know these. I've been enough with the drum journeys and the fifth, these other dimensions where the ancestors live. Like, there's a way to do it, So I'll go find a shaman. I'll go find a medicine man and like get some help. Yep. And so I did that. I went to the Smoky Mountains. The first time I went, I didn't get anywhere with it. I got told, like that person in the cultural museum that said, oh, well, once your ancestor left the people, they're, you're out. Like,
right.
You're not part of our people anymore. And I got really
angry. Horrible. Yeah, that's a horrible thing to say to someone.
I felt this tremendous rage inside of me that was way beyond me. Like, it just felt like, more than me. And then as I processed that, I started hearing, because I was just breathing through it afterwards in the museum. And this message came to me and it said, you'll never lose your blood. It's in your blood. Your ancestors are in your blood. You can't lose it. It's yours. It's never going to be taken away. Yep. And I was like, okay, then I'm okay. It's all right. The second time I went though to the Smoky Mountains, I got hooked up. I got led. I kept asking again. I was like, oh, please. And by now I'm crying, because I'm so desperate to get connected. I'm like, please help me. Please. I know you can. And I got led to one person, another person, and finally got led to this guy, Bruce, who said, all right, you're pitiful right now. So I'll help you. I'll help you. You're so pitiful. And so he said, I'll meet you out, in the parking lot when I get off my shift in 15 minutes. I said, okay. So I start walking away, and I had my 2 boys with me on that trip. I start walking away from him, and all of a sudden, this ball of energy, as all I can describe it, felt like a softball size of energy, just like it got flung through the back of my head, where my head meets my neck. Right there is there's a portal, a mouth of God, that your ancestors can enter. And I didn't know this until later. I had to look it up and find out what happened. But it came burst in through the back of my head and then just expanded in this light. And I felt like, wow, I was so dizzy. I felt disoriented. I was seeing the trees breathing. I don't know what just happened, but something just happened. Maybe my ancestors heard me crying, please. They know I've been trying to get connected. Right. And then he came out to talk to me after, and he gave me the first bits of wisdom, which was you have too many thinking. You need to stop thinking so much and listen more. And so I began this journey with this awareness. After that moment, this awareness started coming in strong of this ancestor that I had either lived as, or was me, or was my ancestor. And it's hard to discern, that because we are so much our ancestors. But it was this Indian, Cherokee Native American medicine man, peace chief on the Trail of Tears. And I started experiencing what he experienced and remembering it. And it was very painful, a lot of grief. And body experience of grief.
Yeah, well, it's horrible how they were treated. I mean, I'm ashamed of the white race for the way that they treat people. I really am. Walk like 3,000 ancestors are walking with you.
Oh, that's beautiful, Dave. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. But, it's like your ancestors definitely, I mean, there's no doubt. There's no denying it. There's no ignoring it, because now that they really gave you the love tap, this is what you're meant to be doing, and this is the path. You're on the right path. Or if you started even bearing a little bit, they were like, nope, get back over there.
Oh, yeah, they do too. Yeah. It's my ancestors really guided me. Even before that moment, they guided me very strongly when I was ready toward, the path I was meant to walk. And because my connection with Cherokee ancestry had been broken in the 3rd dimension, they just hooked me up with the Caro people in Peru, who are also a fire people. So they hooked me up with that lineage. I said, okay, let's just go study with them. They know what they're doing. They want to teach you. So we'll just switch you over there and you'll learn everything you need to know. And then you'll get connected with us later. So that was kind of how it started working. And,
right. And just for people, that are tuning in and whatnot, fire people. What are fire people? What do they do? How does that community work? And they're the workers across the coals.
There's different, look at me. I'm so red, right? I'm born in June. You would think I'm a water sign. I do have water. I've got a lot of powerful emotional energy, but I also am fire. Fire is purification. And the fire path is the path of, of the divine connection through purification of your soul, through, you're walking through the challenge of it, right? You think about fire walks. I lead fire walks. You walk across the hot coals, you face your fears and courage and faith. And, and the fire is the warmth of the sun. It's the sun on earth. It's like you have this warmth, the power of the divine, right there to help you with whatever you need. You can talk to the fire, pray with the fire, cleanse and purify with the fire. It's just a beautiful element. So there's other elements, and there's other lineages that work with other elements. I mean, so this is just an element that I work with. And my ancestors, the Cherokee people, are fire people, and so are the Caro people in Peru. So there's just different traditions.
Mm-hmm. I like fire. Like I always tell people that too. If something is really, 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 in your craw, write it down, and then you burn it. Do a little ceremony of your own to release it and let it go into the universe. And that's what you do is you burn it because you're getting rid of that. So fire is definitely a huge energy. Hi, Taryn, I love you too. And Jojo says also rebirth.
Yes, rebirth, like the phoenix. Everyone knows, like the phoenix rising from the ashes, right?
Yes. And so that was amazing. And you tell, you tell a lot about yourself and your journey and things, in the beginning of the book, very personal. The book, I have to say, okay, very relatable. It's well written, and I love the format. I like the format, how you did it, and the quotes and things that you put on the end of each chapter and stuff. It's just, I love it. I want to get your other books. And she just said, when we were talking before you came in, Mama, that she's in the process of writing another.
The next book. As soon as I published the second wave book. That book was easy to write, actually. It was a channeling. So I sat down and channeled it. It was done in like 3 months. It was over. And I just released it, and it did its thing. It's still on the charts. Like I'm not buying books, okay? Like somebody else is buying them.
Right. So these are all her books, right? So from We to Me, right? Fierce Love, Healing the Mother.
That's the one I'm working on now.
Yeah, that's the one that she's writing now that will be out, next year? The Rejuvenate Yourself is like what she does for people. Awakening Me, Awakening to Me.
That was the first book.
That's okay. And that's the one that won the 4 awards.
Yep, that's a personal story. And it's on Audibles now too. So that was a fun experience, actually, a really interesting, actually spiritual growth experience to do the Audible for that book, because I would go back into the personality, the persona that I had at the moment that I was telling the certain part of the story, and to just experience that again and speak the way I would have spoken was like, wow, it's so trippy because I've changed so much that it's so strange to be that person I was again. It's like, it's just a wholly different person. It's interesting, this reinvention path.
Yeah, I think everyone does that anyway. I mean, it's like, when you're a teenager, you think, oh my God, well, if I make it to 30, that's so old, and that's just like life is over, right? And then you get to 30, and it's like, oh God, if I get to 60, holy hell, I'm going to be like a wrinkled prune. And now where I'm like almost 60, and it's like, well, hey, like I said, I'm almost 60 now. Your mindset changes. Basically, wherever you are, but you go from the carefree kid that, you can rule the world and nothing's going to happen to you, and I can go out and do this and do that, to now you have a little bit of a conscience, you have a little bit more fear, you have a little bit more common sense, hopefully. The way the universe is going right now and the world is going right now, I doubt it. I think we're the minority and not the majority of people with common sense. But God bless, please. We need to have like these big healing circles for the world.
What makes it so much easier, at least what I learned, is opening to spirit. Opening to spirit and opening to the ancestors for guidance, because I think that's really what's happened in Western culture is we've gotten disconnected from our ancestry because we got really independent, and we were like, screw you. Like, we're going to go across the ocean and we're leaving you people, and we're going to do our own thing, and then we're going to go westward ho, and we're going to leave you people, and we're going to talk to you again. And we just kept doing it, and now the world's gotten too small for us to do that. So now we're faced with it. We're like, oh, we can't keep leaving you. But we're still trying because we're on social media. Delete, block.
I know there's nowhere to hide anymore.
Right.
Like everyone has there's 4G is everywhere. It's like you can't hide.
It's everywhere. You can't escape it. You can't even go into the wild anymore. But we have this crazy. We don't know how to handle life transitions. We just don't know how to handle it in our culture. There used to be ritual, and like I'm just thinking about my son right now. That's what I'm writing about in Healing the Mother Wound, and I'm working with White Buffalo Calf Woman. And White Buffalo Calf Woman is a beautiful teacher. I got to tell you, she's a tough teacher. I've learned a lot over the last year. And one of the things I really think about lately is I think the reason why our kids struggle so much is because they don't have an initiation. Like there's not a ritual that sends them out to the divine mother to heal. Like, because in indigenous tradition, when the sons got to a certain age, they would send the sons out into the woods, into the wild, and say, okay, you're out here now and you're on your own with Mother Nature for a week. Like no food, no water. You're just going to be there and just, connect with Mother Earth, because you need her more than you need us. You didn't figure it out. And that is beautiful because it takes all that rebellious energy, all that, that's supposed to be there. That is the evolutionary energy, the force of evolution that runs through our young people. It takes all that energy and it brings it out to something big enough to hold it, which is the earth. Because mom can't hold that.
We need that. Right. No. But we need that. We need that brought back. And right now I feel like it's going the opposite of that, especially like with the COVID and everybody's home and you're doing school on your computers and everybody's going to be in, kids are afraid to go outside. It's like, we were never in. We were never in when we were kids. We were never in. It's like you'd have to drag us home kicking and screaming. And then you do whatever you got to do in the house to get back out. That's why I had a cleaning business, because I'm the youngest of my 3 siblings, and then 5 years later, me. Right now, everybody had their chores to do, but because they were older, bigger, and badder, they'd beat me and say, "You do this, and they do. I have to do all their chores before I can go out, so I can clean the house in like an hour, top to bottom, beautifully, and I made it a business. Right? But that's why I knew how to do it, because I wanted to get out outside.
Yeah, you wanted to escape and go out there. That urge to be free.
Exactly. And now it's like the kids fight to stay in. It's like, get outside and do this. No, I don't want.
You can't get them out of their room off the computer.
Right, and they're like this, one with their phone like this. What are you going to do? All right. So now that the big shiny ball for 20 minutes is over. All right. Do you want to just talk about the book? So what inspired you to write this book, The Second Wave?
Well, so I'd already written Awakening to Me, and that journey was, very private, vulnerable journey over 2 years, embodying the teachings and writing. And I was like, wow, that was so glad. I kept trying to end the book. I was like, please make it stop. And I love myself already. Okay. Let's stop. And then the next book was more of expository. So after that, the From We to Me, it was like, well, what are all the lessons I learned from going through the divorce and all that? So I was like, all right, well, I have no idea what's next. And so then when this message came in February 2019, it said, you're writing your next book. I thought, oh, wow. Okay. Well, this feels different. What am I doing? And by now I've got all this experience doing healings and things like that. So my channel's really open. I'm really good at listening. And so that's how I heard the message. I said, well, you're going to write this book about the second wave. I said, what's that? Mm-hmm. And they reminded me of Dolores Cannon. I don't know if you guys have heard of Dolores Cannon's work, but she wrote this book called The Convoluted Universe, a series of books. Mm-hmm. And she also did, she came up with this program of healing, like a deep hypnosis technique called quantum healing hypnosis technique. Mm-hmm. And in that technique, she can get people down to such a state of hypnosis that the people that she's not going to interview the soul of that person and ask questions and get answers.
That's awesome.
Which is cool, right? So and then you'll get kind of like past life regressions. You'll get guided through that, but then you can actually just ask specific questions. So when she realized that could happen, she started asking questions, and the souls started telling her things like, "Oh, I'm part of the first wave," or "Oh, I'm part of the second wave." And then she'd be like, well, what's that? So they were guiding me, go back and look at that. So I looked at that and I was like, okay, the second wave are volunteers to the planet. The first wave and the second wave are volunteers to this planet that came for the ascension of human consciousness. Because we're on the cusp of the age of Aquarius, which, we got there's in astrology, there's always like an arc before it comes in. Like there's like a pre-phase of it coming into being, and then there's the starting point. But you're already in the energy of it for a while, right? So we were already in the energy of this. It's coming in now. You can see 2020 is like very clearly the beginning of this, right? Transformation. We all see it. It's obvious. So you back it up to the 60s. It started then. We had Martin Luther King. We had, JFK. We had visionary leaders. We had, that band that played The Age of Aquarius. Like what?
I know that's the song that kept coming. Every time you referenced it, I'm singing The Age of
Aquarius.
Dancing.
I mean, it's very clearly galactic music. It is not from here. Okay. Like we know it. So you can see that coming into place. So now we're entering into that phase where the second wave. So the first wave came in to set the stage, and they did really tough, hard work. Like think about the work that Martin Luther King did. That is hard work. That was very in the trenches, challenging work. Okay. But it set the way, it set the path for all of us to follow. And then those of us that were born on the cusp of that, and in the next 10 or 20 years of that, right? So there's a window that the second wave were born. So I'm the beginning of the second wave. I was born in 69. So I came right at the end of the energy of all of that. That's all infused in my being. It's in my consciousness. I just know that stuff. So now take me all the way through my oldest son, who's 20 now, going on 21. That's the range of the second wave, pretty much right there. We're bookending it. So we're each doing our part in that. And what's the goal of the second wave? The goal of the second wave has been to infiltrate human consciousness and heal it from the inside out, right? So it's kind of like you crash a party,
You party crashes you.
The party was going on, of human drama and suffering. And then this unexpected baby shows up who's like just really weird and different and like super loving. And what's the matter with this kid, And you're the baby going, this place is messed up. Everyone's drunk. What's going on? This is weird. And so we kind of came in like that, and we have to embody the patterns. That's why. You've got to embody it to heal it, because this is a planet of free will. So everybody was locked up in their free will to suffer. And so somebody had to come in that could remember love and remember, hey, this, we got the Age of Aquarius coming. So somebody had to come in that had enough, like
common sense,
soul mastery. I would say, lived enough lifetimes to remember, because it's not easy this is a hard planet. This is not an easy planet to be on. So you go through Earth amnesia, you forget everything as part of the deal. Like very few people get to remember. So it's not an easy planet to come into and make a lot of great change. It's just not. So, we're doing it together this time. That was the plan. There's so many of us that they can't stop it. Like whoever, the ones that want to stop it, they can't, because there's too many. It's like whack-a-mole. It's like it's like whack-a-mole. Make it stop.
That's where social media comes in and plays a good hand, because it's helping with that. Like this, doing things like this. This helps with it. Your Soul Nectar show, that helps with that. Gets that word out there and connects the people that need to be connected. Because otherwise they sit and just twiddle their thumbs like, well, someone else is going to take care of it. Someone else is going to take care of it, unless it's pointed out to them and they have that aha moment, like, oh, wait, I should be there. That's what I should be doing. And then they join the movement,
Well, they do when they're ready. And that's what love is. I love this acronym for love. Let others voluntarily evolve.
Oh, I like that.
Wow.
It's a good one.
Powerful. Yeah, that's a good one.
I wish I could attribute it. Somebody shared it with me, and I was like, I just keep sharing it because it's good. We have to voluntarily let them evolve. So how do we do that? We do our own work, and the book talks about this, but we have to do our own work. Like, so we showed up, everybody learns. Nobody's like above learning on this plane of existence. We're all learning, even if we're like ascended masters or whatever, old souls, we're still learning. We're in it, and so everybody's equal. There's no like hierarchy. Everybody's just learning at where they're at, what the lessons they came to learn, and then we're matched up with each other. So we can learn what we need to learn, and they can learn what they need to learn, and we're all learning. So there's no hierarchy. Like that's a whole patriarchal construct that we're disintegrating right now. You know, so.
I know how you love the constructs, right? That was the thing I was laughing at in the book, like the church. when you went to the funeral and you were sitting in the church.
I was like, yeah.
And the pastor was, talking, like, oh, I can relate up until the point he said, I'm your connection to God. And you went, wait, no.
No,
no.
That's wrong. No.
Yeah.
You would have loved that doctor battle. Oh, Lord in heaven.
Yeah.
We were all, according to him, we're all going to hell, we're in the metaphysics.
I'm going to hell with my dog. I don't care.
Yeah, the dogs are, there's no dogs in heaven and, all this stuff. And it's just like, oh, Lord.
Well, but this is the same thing that's been, this is the divine feminine. Okay, so this is the spiritual journey. And, there have been aspects of our humanity that are really terrified of the feminine and the divine journey in the subconscious and in the earth and in the deep and wide spaces and in the void and in the unpredictable and in all of that. But that's where all the deep healing happens, and that's where all the magic happens, and that's where all the synchronicity and the true connection to the divine happens, is in that feminine space. And so we've gone through 2,000 some odd years of patriarchal suppression and of all of that power. And now we're opening it back up because we've seen the end of the road. Like, where does the patriarchal construct lead? It leads to decimation of the planet because it's endless consumption with no end.
Yep.
Because you can't feed the hungry ghost. You'll never satiate the hungry ghost. You've got to bring in the divine mother. That's the only way to heal and to be balanced, is to have both the divine father and the divine mother together. It's a harmony. You got to have the balance. You can't have just one. So,
right. So now, when you were writing this book, though, and you it says you channeled White Eagle, right? Who is White Eagle? How do you know? Is this a spirit guide of yours?
It is. I actually saw this great picture. A friend of mine does soul portraits, and she just happened to have done a soul portrait of White Eagle. And I happened, synchronicity. I happened to see it a week before I went into ceremony, before I published the second wave book. Because I didn't even know who I was getting the messages from. I was like, I'm channeling all this stuff, but who is it? It's like acting like I didn't know. And I get into the ceremony and I saw this picture first, a piece of art. And I was like, oh my God, this is the dude that's been talking to me.
Wow.
I was like, this is him. And then it all clicked into place because I'd already heard his name many times, many, many, many times. But I just, how you dismiss things because you just get the message and you go, oh, that's interesting. And then it just goes because your ego's like, not right now.
Yep.
We don't want you to know that.
Yep. Yeah. I understand that completely. I pushed that. I had that until I actually embraced doing what I'm doing now. I kept having that over and over and over.
Over and over.
It's not in my world. It's not my world. I'm a designer.
And your ancestors are like, you're White Eagle. White Eagle is your,
Foxes,
putting White Eagle in front of me.
Yeah, right. I mean, you get to the point where you just can't. You cannot deny it anymore. And then it's up to you. It's like the universe gave you this gift, right? What are you going to do with it? Are you going to help the universe? Because the universe gave you this gift to help it.
Well, you have to trust the gift. You have to really, because a lot of this spiritual journey at first is a lot of visions and things in your imagination. It feels like another world, or you're not sure. You're like, oh, I don't know if that's real or not. And you have to lean into that. That's the journey, is to lean in. I saw visions of White Eagle years ago, right at the beginning of my journey. I saw this. I was taking a bath, and I think I wrote about this in the book. Maybe I didn't. But I was taking a bubble bath and I was meditating, and as I was doing some healing work or something, that I just relaxed for a moment. And in my third eye, with my eyes closed, I saw this, what seemed like a periscope come in close. And so this picture was getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until it was right in front of my face. And it was this Native American medicine man with like a big headdress and the whole thing. And I actually looked up on the internet after to find that same picture, like who, and it was a Cherokee medicine man. I was like, oh, that's what they look like. I was like, okay. And he came and he said, open the sun in their hearts. And then he went away. I was like, wait a second, what does that mean?
Wow.
So he came like that and then left. And so this has been going on, for my whole life. Probably I just don't even remember all the little dots. So it just, you get to a place where you finally believe and trust enough that you can go, oh, this is not scary. This is actually beautiful. And it's the divine, and it's how the divine is speaking to me. This is my individual conversation with the divine, and I can trust it, and it's for me, and it's beneficial, and I'm loved, and I'm supported, and I'm held. And just in case, I'll pray to Jesus, like, just in case, I'll pray to Jesus. Like.
But I mean, you do say that too, like the divine spirit, or the great spirit, or whatever you want to call it, God, whatever it is that you want to call it, it's power higher.
Name.
It's so many names. But Mama, you got something you want to?
Yeah. When did you realize that you were a messenger?
I think it was that moment that I had that hummingbird visit me. And in my journey, and when I was manifesting my house, because I didn't tell you the end of that story. So I saw that vision. It was awe-inspiring. There's like a rainbow hummingbird in the back. It was just like, whoa, And then a minute I got done just appreciating that, the phone rang. Yeah. And it was my real estate agent. Now, she said, you have the house. It's yours. What do you want to offer for it?
Wow.
Nice.
Like, right. And she, before the journey, which was like 30 minutes earlier, she had told me, I don't know if you're going to get that house because it's already been in contract and they've been back and forth a dozen times and you're probably not going to get it because they don't go back and forth that often. Yeah, that was my house. So, and I live here now. So, so I looked it up and I saw it was Messenger. And then another part came in where I was supposed to go. Like I saw this picture of Machu Picchu, and then I read this whole thing about how Machu Picchu is in the form of a Sibor Kente, their hummingbird, and I was like, oh, I wonder if that's me, Mm-hmm. So I just kept getting the same thing. I kept getting the messages, and I was like, I think I'm a muse. I think I'm this. And then by now I've already been writing the first book, Awakening to Me, and I knew that I'm a guinea pig, so. My soul made me a guinea pig because there's a lot of stuff on this planet going on that needs some healing. And we learn by seeing others, right?
Right.
Doing the things.
Yeah.
Right.
And then by watching how they handle it as they go through and process. So my whole life has been being a guinea pig. My whole life has been a message, basically. And I've shown everything, like how bad can you get? How shameful can you be? How awful and judged and still be loved by the divine?
Yep.
That's what I've been demonstrating. How do you love yourself and let the divine in through all of that crud?
It's tough. It's tough. It's like this, like Beth's saying here, right? You got to follow through. All right. And then she's saying,
trust the universe.
Awesome. Much healing is needed.
And it's not always easy. A lot of people think, it's like, oh, trust the universe. It's like, oh, it should be easy. It sounds so easy, but it's not. And the thing is, most people think, trust the universe. It's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. In a way, it is difficult because trusting the universe, you have to trust in yourself. Mm-hmm. And that's what a lot of people forget. It's like, well, I just got this, this thought, and it's coincidence. Dude, it's not coincidence. It's the universe giving you messages, but you have to trust yourself to be able to be open to the universe.
Right. But you got to get out of the ego self too. And you write about the ego self in here too.
Yeah, you get ready when you're ready. Like I remember, you can't do a spiritual bypass either. So I want to say that for a second. Like there is no spiritual bypass. So like whatever your soul planned for you this lifetime, it's going to happen. Okay. So you can try to avoid it. You can try to preempt it. You can try to get out of it. Yep. But it will happen somehow because you came in to learn that lesson. So I learned that because right before I created a lot of chaos in my life, right before
I could relate.
Right before that happened, we had just moved out from California to Texas to be close to my mom and my family, my dad and everybody, and to raise our kids out here because it is a little less expensive and such. And I had really frustrated myself trying to make people in Silicon Valley like art. By artists. It was, they're just more materialistic. They're just really not interested. So I frustrated myself trying to do that for 3 years. And then I said, okay, I cannot accomplish anything I want to accomplish. I admit defeat and I'm leaving. So we moved out here and I had to lick my wounds for like,
going by.
I had to lick all my wounds, like I couldn't do it. And my self-worth and everything else. And then another part of my journey started up. Being close to my mom and being in the dynamics with my husband at the time, which mirrored my wounds that I needed to heal with my mom. It was so a lot of things, we all have those patterns and things, and usually we pick a partner that mirrors our difficult parent that we have to work through, like the things we didn't resolve or we didn't understand. We have to pick a partner like that, right? So no, it's terrible. It's so embarrassing, but it's true, and that's just a setup. We're a cosmic setup that way. And I love my mom. So, but yeah, I had to heal a lot of stuff. And so basically, right before I was about to make the thing that I needed to do that was going to create a lot of chaos in the family, I was like, I want to go explore my past lives. And so I was going to spiritual bypass, right? Like, cause some part of me knew this was coming and I was like, nope, going to skip that. And so I tried to find this person to do a past life regressions on me and all this kind of stuff. And it didn't work. I saw nothing. And I'm a very visual person. So like nothing happened. I was so frustrated. And I went to the gym the next day, like I'm riding on the bike and I'm just like, oh, I'm going to go find like an expert. I'm going to go look up Oprah. She's got to be, because that person just doesn't know what they're doing, and they suck, and I was just like so angry that I couldn't get anything. And, because my dad went through all this past life regression stuff and I wanted to be like him. I wanted to go, I wanted to do that. And then I'm cycling like all mad. And then all of a sudden, the only time it's ever happened to me, this voice, this masculine voice, like on a loudspeaker in my head said, you have a life, live it.
Yep. Yep.
I was like, okay. I'm like this.
I know. When you get humbled like that, and that's real, like I have had a humbling moment like that. I'm sure, Mama, you've had a humbling moment like that when I doubted God. I was like, if God existed, he'd shut my mind off because there's just too much crap going on right now. I can't handle anymore. And like that, all mad and everything. And I'm, going to go sit down on my couch. And as I'm sitting down on my couch, boom, and my eyes are wide open. And it was like an iron curtain came down. I saw nothing but black. It seemed like forever. Maybe it was a couple minutes. Then I thought I was going crazy. But it was, that's the love tap, like the love tap you got on the back of your head, like how many love taps do you actually need?
That was a whack. That was like hey, wake up, sweetheart.
Yeah, I got whammy.
Don't get off track.
And yeah, what I mean? So it's like,
see, I had to go, that just tells me that it was necessary for me to go down into the dark pit of despair I went into. It was actually part of my life journey. I had to do that. I couldn't avoid that because I tried to. I was just going to go do the spiritual bypass. I was just going to go look at my past lives and like have a little journey doing that, but that's not what I'm here for. I signed up to be the living example of why you don't do some things like this, So,
yeah. See, this is why I love you, because you're just so personable, and like I said, the book is just really well written in a good format. You got a lot of information in here too, and I love the quotes. Like this one quote, like, "What if everything you're doing?" Hold on, I got it. do this. Okay. What if everything you're going through is preparing you for what you asked for? And that's by Darren Keg. I mean, that's like how appropriate was that? And I read that and I just laughed out loud. Actually, I was taking a drink and I almost spit water all over the book as I was reading it. I'm like, oh, that's great. But above that, you talk about karma and dharma. And I always bring that up. And there is a difference between karma and dharma, and people don't see it, So what are your beliefs, and how has that like impacted or affected your life?
Well,
a karmic thing or...
So there's some stuff that feels karmic. So my relationship with my first husband felt karmic. I mean, this was the lightning across the room. Like, you see the person and there's like, the electricity is so big that you're like, oh, this is my person, like there he is, and neon lights, beware.
That was my late husband. He was like
that person might have killed you in another life, like you might have some things to work out with that person. So there's nothing wrong, because we're all here learning and growing. So there's nothing wrong. And my ex-husband is a perfectly lovely individual now, and along the way we had a lot of fun. We had tons of fun along the way, I want to say. And we had some big stuff to work out. Like, we had big, deep issues to work out, both of us. So that was a karma bond, and I feel like those things happen to get you into it. Like, you can't escape it. You're so seduced by it, you're like in it. And
right.
Then that's because you're supposed to work on that thing with that person.
Right.
Then there's other things that are more like dharma. So like some of the situations that you get yourself into is because you need to have that experience for your purpose.
Yeah.
So
wait, just if you don't, all right, karma is like what? Fate. And dharma is like destiny. They're different meanings.
Like cleanup work and opening work. So it's cleanup and opening. It's kind of like, okay, this part, we needed to resolve that. We didn't quite finish that lesson last time. We need to work on that a little bit more. We have work to do. Like, we never finished that piece, or we need to see it from another angle now. You and I agreed to work on that together, so we need to finish that up. Versus dharma, which is more like, how can I be in service? What is it that I understand or know as a soul that I can be in service with those gifts? And so sometimes the karma becomes the dharma, right? So when you heal it, it flips. Now it's the dharma because it's your gift.
That's hopefully what will happen.
And so, if you get through it, if you solve the puzzle, now it's your dharma, and then you get a big benefit to share that. And it's even partway through solving it, like, some of these things take lifetimes to solve, right? We're in a unique period right now where we're speeding it up. Like, it's super quick, so we can heal a whole lot of stuff like this, like bam, 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 that's done. But the dharma part, I had actually conversation, because, this week was really tough for me, as you watch me on social media, without giving any, because I don't want to give any details about it, but just my son and I, mother and son, and the son's leaving, and, I'm having my empty nest thing, and I like, no, I don't want my baby to go, and I want it, but I do, I want him to grow up, but no, I want him here, but I want him to go, but I want him here, and he's just kind of like, what do you want? I need to go do me, and I'm like, go do you, but come back, so we're having this thing. And, and I'm having to cope with myself, like all of my inner child stuff and all of my feelings. And so I was telling my coaches about it the other night, and I was just like, oh man, I said this to him when he was leaving, and then I videoed him the whole time he was packing his things. And I'm like, this is how you're going to leave? Oh my God. I was terrible. I admit it. I was awful. And I'm like, I can't believe you're leaving this way. That kind of thing. Guilt. And when I met with my coaches, I told them what I did, and they're like, Kerri, it could have been more like, we're so proud of you. I'm so proud of you that you're ready to go. I'm so proud of you that you're taking this big, bold step. I'm so proud of you that you're ready to start your journey. And then I looked at my coaches and I was like, well, now I feel like crap. Thank you. I feel like I could have done it better. But here's the thing. Then my coach said to me, but Kerri, you keep talking about karma and it feels like it's a punishment. He said, I actually think you're going through all this stuff for your dharma. I think you know all these things already, and you're just repeating the lesson so you can have it in this body. And I actually have to admit that a lot of times I have that voice inside that's like, I already know this one, but I still go through the human experience. It's like I have both at the same time. Like, I don't know if you guys experience that, but like I've been going through the thing and I'm like in the whoa of it. But then there's this other part of me that's like, yeah, I already know this part. And it's kind of, it's okay. You know, I have both at the same time. So it's confusing.
Yep, I do know that. Like, you know, even when you procrastinate, you know, when you want to do something too, you have that. It's like this inner conflict that goes back and forth all the time, all the time. My brain, I say my brain is like a big filing cabinet. And it's like, there's always drawers. Yes. Drawers are always open. And, you know, I have OCD in my real life here, that if someone left the drawers open, I'd be swearing, shutting all the drawers. I mean, like, leave the door. If you open and close it, you know, and shutting all the things. My brain is like that. It's like a whole bunch of open drawers all the time. So there's always something going on. It's like, you know, constantly.
And the thing is, the drawers that are in your brain that are open, you're the one who left them open. And you're just like, I'm going to shut it, but there's a reason that you left them open.
Yeah, they have to be open.
There is. And some of these drawers you got to open back up because you're like, okay, in this lifetime, I'm here to demonstrate this, and this. And so you can see it in your human design chart. You know, your human design chart is such a beautiful tool. It's based on astrology and a whole bunch of other things, but it also ties in with gene keys, which are also a really new component of this, which I find so helpful because as you look at this, you can see like, okay, what did I come here to work on specifically? And as you look at as I've looked at it, I'm like, oh my God, these are all the things I think about constantly. Like all these things are the ones that I always think about. And so I think that we, you know, if you're part of the second wave, you came here to heal certain patterns of suffering in human consciousness. So how can you heal it if you're in the human body and this incarnation hasn't gone through it? It's no good. You got to go through it in this incarnation again. Even if you've already done it 10 other times, you got to do it again in this body just to be available, you know, and then I've been told to be the demonstration. So I had to share all this stuff so vulnerably and on social media, which is like awful and terrible and wonderful. And it's just like, man, I look like just some hot mess sometimes, but that's what people need. I think we need to see it.
Yeah, because that's what they can relate. That's what they can relate to. Again, it's like, you know, someone's like, well, I can't do this. Oh my God. You know, they could be getting messages left and right. And, you know, I get messaged all the time, you know, like, what about this? What about that? What about, you know, and it's like, listen to your instincts. Your instincts, your gut is telling you something. Your instincts are telling you something. That is a direct line from your spirit guides, whether it's your higher power, your God, your angels. I don't care who it is, but it's someone who's telling you, you know, and trust it.
Trust it because it would create upheaval. Yes.
And they have to see it. Yeah, of course.
It will create upheaval, but then it falls apart because the false structure falls apart. The thing that's not true falls apart so that the new thing can come in that's even better.
Right. Where you're supposed to be. Where you're supposed to be. You will, you know, out of bad things, good things will happen usually, you know.
Yeah.
You always end up where you're supposed to be. If you do veer off that path, like you probably got whacked back many times, Mama, I have, you know, whacked back on that path, you know, and whether we just like try to hold on and not go too, you know, that's another thing. But, you know, you will eventually end up over there. And I totally believe that. Totally believe that. But now your son or your son's...
I have two biological sons, and then another son and a daughter.
Okay, through the marriage. Now, are they second waivers as well?
My oldest son is. My younger son, I don't believe so. No, he's not. He's more grounded than us. Very grounded, and he's kind and loving, and he's a good listener. He really listens, and So he's kind of on a different life path. You know, you can't have everybody in the transformation game all at once in the family. It'd be way too much chaos. So somebody's got to hold the fort down, and I feel like that's my son Tanner. He's really good at that, and he's a peacemaker. He's a really good peacemaker. So yeah, he's a bridge between me and my ex-husband. He's a bridge between me and my mom. Like he's like amazing in that way, and he's you know, I'm supporting him energetically. He's not aware of that, but I give him a lot of energetic support because I know the role he's playing, and I've talked to him about it and let him know, like, hey, this is a tough role, so it's normal to be angry about this. Like, it's okay.
Yeah. That's When I was talking to you about my daughters, you know, I said I got an angel and I got a devil, right? But the angel, that's what she is. It is. She is a bridge. She is a bridge between the entire family.
Because you actually said something that was so funny, because you said your first daughter came in screaming. My first son came in screaming. And then your second daughter came in just peaceful. And so did mine. My second son came in just as peaceful as could be. I mean, just
I would get afraid. I would have to go in and check, you know, and make sure she was awake, you know. And she's
it's like, what are they
playing with a blanket, you know?
It's what are they tussling with, right? Like, we can't expect they're not all the same. That's what's so beautiful, is we're all unique. And that this is part of the book where White Eagle talks about the unique thumbprint. Like, each one of us has a unique thumbprint, and that is so significant, because the divine works in the simplest messages. It's not complicated. It's very simple. So but a unique thumbprint to tell you you're unique.
Yeah, right there.
You are unique,
right? So it's about unique thumbprint, and I went, yes. And I put a thumbprint right in the little box.
I wanted people to do that.
And so I got to do that. So I did that while I was reading. That's funny.
And actually, I've heard since then, there's other people that are bringing this particular gift, that are saying that the thumbprint and the fingerprints actually contain coding and information about your life plan and what you're here to do, and probably lots of other information too, is in these prints. So that's not my expertise, but there are people working on that, and I just know that the thumbprint is
thumb and feet, because the feet are really, I mean,
they're amazing. Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Speaking of feet, I want to let's go way back. Okay, to the firewalkers. You said, or you were telling a story, like when you first walked through the fire, like the first 2 times, you got burnt on the same spot on your foot, like you got a blister on the same spot of your foot, but then you found out what that meant after. Do you want to tell people?
Yeah, I will.
What that meant?
Yeah, because I would love to open people's minds to the power of the elements, to tell you things about your body in subtle ways before even medical systems would even detect it, right? Way before there's a problem. Because the medical system is designed for like the last 1/8 or so. You know, like if you get to that point, you really need help, because you haven't been listening all the way along like the rest of the time. So you can learn to listen way back here. So that's what I did. I started realizing that because I walk on fire a lot, I lead people across the fire. I'm certified in that. And so I'm interested by it. People's experience and what the fire does. I know it's an element. I know it's a healing. I know it's a purification. So what I noticed when I first led my first 2 firewalks, I was terrified to lead firewalks, because it's a lot of responsibility. I'm going to bring all these people, like 50 people, across the fire. And what if they get burned, or what if they have a bad experience, or what if something happens? And it's scary. So at my first time doing that, I was a little nervous. And I noticed that when I walked across the fire, I got burned in this little spot. So when I went home, I looked at the reflexology chart, and it showed me that spot had to do with my will center. Well, of course. I needed support in my will. I needed to feel confident.
Right.
And, so the second time, same thing. So I looked up Chinese medicine, because I was like, okay, what does that spot mean? And that spot's tied to the kidneys, and the kidneys need support. And so also I'm a healer. So often healers will have kidney issues. Like, we'll need support to cleanse and purify the kidneys, because we're processing so much information as we're doing healings, it's running through us. The kidneys need support because they do a lot of that work, the kidneys and the liver. So you need to give yourself like beets and, grounding vegetables. And, it's really obvious, like support. So what happened was I looked all that up and I already knew that. But then I thought, all right, I'm going to go to a naturopath. So I went to a naturopath. And I said, I filled out all her 100 questions, right? Like there's so many questions when you go see a naturopath. I filled out all the questions. It was like an hour. And at the end, she said, well, you need kidney support.
Oh, well, she knows her stuff. That's for sure. And
I just took off my shoe and put my foot up. I know. See that? But I didn't tell her that. And then I went to the doctor just to see, if anything showed up. And they didn't have a clue about any of it.
No, they don't. They don't study that. They don't believe in it. They're not
refined.
No.
Their blood tests, all their tests, they don't show anything because it's not refined enough. They're looking at boulders, and I'm looking at pebbles. I'm like,
yeah, because you're getting down to the nit and grit of what's the root cause of this.
Mm-hmm.
What do I have to do? And then they're going to put you on pills, and you have that movement.
Yeah, I have this skill because I was on those don't feel anything pills for about 13 years. Oh. And, because on my journey, I did 2 decades of psychotherapy, that was the tool that was provided to me by my parents. And it's a very loving tool. It's the tool that most people were aware of, right? So they did their best. They gave me a tool. What I now know, though, is that it's talk therapy in the hands of a master web weaver is not a good idea because the more stories you tell, the more you trap yourself in your web. And if you're telling kind of bad stories, well, you're going to get some bad outcomes. And I did that every week for, 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of challenging. But when I had my first
son. That wasn't really your choice, though, was it? I mean, you were doing that you weren't really... You get sucked into it. It's not really like
I was in a pattern.
And that's you got to break away from that. And at least
it did help a little bit, but it depends on the type of psychotherapy because now they have new modalities because they're starting to realize that this isn't very helpful. So they have new modalities now. There's a part of your journey where you just need to be validated. There's a part of your journey where you really just need somebody to listen to you, but then that should have a finite part. Then it should move into some more coaching or some prompts or something to catapult you out of your stuck place. Because if you're in an eddy that long, that's not good for you. To be in an eddy for 20 years on the same thing. You need to move.
Right.
So
again, that's the thing between the medical doctors and the holistic doctors. The medical doctors, they are bound by law to follow rules. A psychologist is bound to follow rules. They'll sit there, well, what do you think about that? Well, what do you like, just help me out, walk through these things with me. Let's try to figure out something to do together. Let's talk, not just bouncing off a board of someone sitting there writing down something,
Well, yeah, because my first experience with psychotherapy was actually with a psychiatrist when I was 15, and that person talked to me. He talked with me once a week for a while, and it was because I had some erratic behavior, and so he actually talked to me. Well, flash forward to when my son was having some struggles, and I take him to the psychiatrist thinking, okay, we're going to go to the master of the mind. Okay, we're going to go straight to the psychiatrist because I'm thinking I'm going to get what I got when I was 15. Oh, Lord, he just wanted to give him a pill. I was like, are you serious? You do now? That's what you do? You just give pills? That's it? You don't
Yep,
nope,
they put a label on it.
Anything?
Yeah, put a label on it, a bunch of letters, abbreviation for something.
So lazy.
Yeah.
So
here, take this, goodbye. Everyone, in their book, everyone would be doing a Thorazine shuffle, and life would be wonderful.
It's just awful. It's a disgrace. And I actually, that poor man, he was a young one too. And it's too bad he got me. But I was like, this is a disgrace. I told him what I thought.
Good,
and I was like, and my son was like, I don't want to take these pills. So he got some, but he never took them. So it's just because he watched me. I took those pills and I didn't, I took them for 13 years. I thought I wasn't feeling anything until I stopped taking them. And then I realized I'd been feeling the whole time. and it just had no place to get expressed, and so it was just in my body.
Right. That's that. I mean, I can imagine just the way that you are, the things that you've accomplished, that if that didn't happen, the things that you could have accomplished. You know what I mean? But you can't be in the woulda, shoulda, coulda.
I can't. That's a trap.
That is.
It's a huge trap.
Like I always say, the things that you went through, the bad influences that you went through, experiences that you went through, you realize them. They help you now. They help you with helping other people. They help you with helping your sons, children, So I think as much as you realize that, like, what a dumbass he was back then, that you realize that in other people, like the one you brought your son to, you realize what a DA he was.
Right. And hopefully one person watching this or listening to this
they will
get it and stop the same process too, and then I can say my job is done,
Well, I think that there's this, I've really explored this a lot because I want to understand it. I do like enjoying understanding human psychology. And so I read a lot of books. I interview a lot of people about this kind of stuff because I'm fascinated by it. And, there are patterns. There's an understanding, and a lot of psychology has this idea that the reason why people misbehave or act out is because they're really
that is her show.
They're really wounded, and if they weren't so wounded or they got healed, they'd stop acting that way. Yes. And there's some people who are really like, they're cut off from their own hearts, and they will just keep acting and acting and acting and acting with painful behavior until somebody puts a smack down on it and says, knock it off. Like, there actually is that. So I needed that. My first coach was like, he was a spiritual mentor. He's a yogi with hair down to his hips. And he played, Led Zeppelin to Vinyasa, which I was like, cool. This is after I left my ex-husband. And I was like, all right. So I asked him if he would be my spiritual mentor, and he said yes. And the first session, I went in there like I did with the psychology class, like weekly
I
thing.
know everything. I'm good.
And I went in there, I was going to tell him about how I was so victimized by this guy that I was dating. And I just like psychotherapy, right? I was just going to go in there and say, like, be the victim and do all that. And I was like, he's doing this and he's doing that and he's in it. And I start going into my whole story about the da. And he goes, stop. And he turns this plate and he's like, you're doing this. You are creating this reality. And I had this moment of shock. Like,
wait, what? Yeah.
And it was like truth.
Look in the mirror instead of doing this.
It was a truth bomb, and I think my jaw was on the floor, and I was like, "Oh my God, you're right. How do I stop doing that?" And then I got curious. That's when that was one of the first steps to really turning it around, was realizing. So some people need that hard stop, like. But it's got to be timed correctly. Like so there's a matter of like feeling it. Because if you're not ready for that message, that could just send you like even longer on the therapy couch being a victim. Like it's just like even longer. But if you are ready, it's the right moment, the right message with the right love. It's like, bam, it hits, it lands. You're on a new journey now, and the whole thing changes. And that's the beauty of it. It was like we have this resistance, like we don't want to feel wrong. We don't want to be wrong. But if you lean into the I'm wrong, you actually do better. You get on another part of your journey that's so much more satisfying.
Yeah. A lot of people won't admit it, Like I don't like admitting I'm wrong. I'm hardly ever wrong. But if I am, I will admit it.
I'm going.
We're gonna take a station break at this moment in time. We're gonna be back in 3 minutes, for real. The Fox Den is now proudly sponsored by Vortex Ghost Gear, one of the leading fabricators of paranormal equipment. Bob Christopher is the founder and creator of Vortex Ghost Gear. He has decades of investigating, starting with his team at NAPA, and as lead in the popular local TV show Ghost Detectives, he has experience of how spirits could be seen or heard. Using this knowledge, he has manufactured equipment for specific scenarios of spirit manifestation and communication. He is the only manufacturer of the popular lifelike trigger prop cats and dogs. Using proximity meters wired to lights and sound, these prove to be highly effective communication devices in the field of study. The HTO, another Vortex exclusive, allowing specific items to be the highlight or trigger of your investigation. For example, place the item on a metal tray or attach directly to any metal object such as keys or glasses that continue to go missing or moved. Ask the spirit to touch the item. The HTO will light. It has a sound option as well. This device was used in Travel Channel's Ghost Nation with great results. The Dome, a static detector, can be the most useful device in your gear bag. This is to back up the theory that the spirits manifest using static electricity. Using several, you can track a spirit, for example, walking down a hallway, setting off each as it passes. The geophone detects vibrations. This is another way to track movement. If a claim is footsteps in the hallway or stairwell, set the sensitivity and place the device in that area. Its band of lights will show a range of vibrations from the slightest tapping, lighting only a few lights, to the loudest thumping, lighting the entire range. The Easy Scan ghost boxes are very popular due to the ease of use. They are custom decorated to the individual or team using them. Bob programs and uses an Arduino-based computer scanning FM waves to potentially communicate with the spirit realm in real time. Every box is unique and all custom hand decorated by Gina Bankston. The V-Pod has a special place for those who love the idea of REM pods. Use this sleeker, smaller, easier to transport device. It is a must-have in your gear bag. Take your investigating to the next level with many of Vortex Ghost Gear's unique and custom creations by Bob Christopher. Visit www.vortexghostgear.com to view all the products and get your equipment today. You can also investigate with Bob and Gina with ghostly excursions, taking people to some of the most haunted locations in the USA. Visit www.ghostlyexcursions.com and join us on our next adventure.
And we're back. See, I have a person. As we left, I said I'm never wrong. I hardly ever wrong. And look,
Yeah, right.
Bob agrees. Gina is never wrong. That's a good friend right there, Bob.
I've been on this side of the
No
computer.
comment?
And
You are speechless?
Ooh. Okay, I'm gonna go with the question. You mentioned Earth amnesia. What are some of the highlights from your journey to remember?
Yeah, Earth amnesia. Phew. That's when you don't remember anything. You don't remember who you are. You just kind of think you're this person that your name and your family and your everything, right? You just really you buy it hook, line, and sinker and think that's who you are. So I started waking up from that when, well, I always had this sort of feeling that would come and go, like the knowing one inside I was just like, oh, I know this game or I know this thing, but then it would go away and I'd be like, where'd it go? And then I'd forget, because I'd be off in the amnesia again and forgetting who I am. And, so when I left my relationship, I got a spirit sign of the end of the rope. And that was one of the moments of awakening because I knew what that meant. Like, how do I know what that means? But I totally knew what that meant. It was like the ship's rope, and I saw it, and it was knotted, and then it went poof, and I was wide awake when it happened. It just went, there's the end of the rope. And I heard it, and I was like, oh, that's the end of the rope. Okay, we're done with this marriage. And so I just sat down, it was like that quick. And we'd been going at it for a while. This is after, 20 years of counseling. We weren't counseling from the beginning. So this is after a lot of effort, folks. So it wasn't like just like that, but it was the end. It was like, that was the message. You're done. Like, you need to leave. And then it just started coming in like these little messages, these little like I would see like when I saw him in the bathtub, when I saw White Eagle, and I didn't know who that was, but I did. And then other times it would happen. So there's so many times. I'm trying to think of one where. So I remembered, like I started waking up when I had that ball of energy come in the back of my head, and then I started remembering the Trail of Tears, and I had so much. How could I have that much grief? I'm not that, right. Kerri wasn't there, but the grief that I felt about that event is just, I was years crying about it. Like, just, I would think about it and I would burst into tears. I mean, literally, if anybody asked me about it, I would just cry. Yeah. And so I had a lot of healing about that. So then I started waking up to that. And then I started realizing, that I was the hummingbird. I was this messenger. I was calling in this messenger. I was like, oh, that's interesting. So then that's coming in. And then I started, then more White Eagle stuff would come in. So I went to Ausingate in Peru, which is the holy mountain. And I went camping up there. It's like 14,500 feet. And I went on a sacred journey, like to the holy mountain, and you hike up there and you really can't breathe because it's on this elevation. And the little Caro people, they're just like trucking with like a huge backpack of stuff, and we're all like,
you have to bring me in a couple oxygen tanks.
Trying to get up. It was crazy. So I was up on there, and I had another message come in where there was a White Eagle down on the ground. No, everybody else walked past it on the way up to the Rainbow Lagoon, but I saw it. I was like, wait a second, it looks like snow. What is that? And I walked over to look, and it was this white bird, and I think that's a White Eagle, maybe. So I took some feathers and then when I went back and showed him to the teacher, he was like, oh, I think that's White Eagle. So even he knew. He was like, wait a second, Kerri.
Right. And she knew to take feathers. Who would do that? You know what I mean? Who would just walk up and take feathers like that? So there's a reason. There's a reason for all this stuff.
All the things. I just, all the little pieces fit together, and then you start to realize it. And the more the way I experience it is that the more that you find a way, whatever way, everybody can have their own way to do it. For me, it was like the energy medicine, the spiritual practice, the meditation, and all of that is what opened it for me. You'll find your own way, but listeners out there, like whatever way you find is perfect for you, is your path. But this is how I did it. And I practiced healing for other people, and every single time I would be doing those healings, like White Eagle, they would see like this Native American man standing there, and then people would tell me that were psychic, that were my friends. I started getting connected with psychic people as friends. They would just come into my space and they'd be like, oh, you've got this Native American man that comes in and out of you and like walks around and everything, and he comes out and like. So I mean, like, it's just all over the place. It's everywhere. You can't. It's everywhere. So you can't deny it. And then the more you hollow out your bone, the hollow bone. The more you hollow out your stuff, your book of fate. Your identity, the thing you think you are, and then you're like, wait a second, I'm not that. I'm something else. And everybody in your family gets really uncomfortable because.
Yeah. What is she doing now? Dear Lord.
She looks like her, but she's not her. What's going on, right? Everybody gets uncomfortable. There's an aspect of you that's the same because it's your soul. And so they feel that. But then the personality you is not anything like it used to be. And so they feel really weird being around you because you're acting different and you talk different and you even walk different, or, you just change, and they don't know what to do with that. So there's a lot of things that happen when you're on the wake, at least what I experienced, and I've heard from other people they have similar experiences. So that's really it. It's just that continual, and I'm still trying to figure out, all the pieces. Like when white buffalo calf woman tapped me on the shoulder, I was like, well, I thought I belonged to White Eagle, what?
Yep.
Why am I, so I'm confused about that, so I just go with it now. I just try not to worry about it.
Yeah. I'm going to show you something. Okay. I got on here a thing. Now, I did a meditation, right? A guided meditation once a long time ago. And, it was one of the ones about spirit guides, So you're supposed to go down a little path and downstairs into a cave. You're supposed to stay in the cave. You're supposed to say what color is the cave. The cave was gold. It was illuminating gold. You're supposed to stay there and wait, right? But I saw a little pinprick of light in the corner. So I got to get over there and I got to dig, so I'm digging, and then it opens up and there's a field. There's all my foxes are right there. So between the foxes, the field, way off in the distance is an altar. And this being is standing there facing the altar, long robes, right? Long hair, straight long hair, facing the other way. And I'm looking at it, but I knew I'm not supposed to talk. I'm not supposed to go there. I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to be seeing this. Right? So there's this book on the altar. He's looking at this book, and then all of a sudden he just turns and looks at me. And it looks like this. Right? It looks like Vincent from that show that used to be on TV, but it was like a lion-like face. Okay,
Yeah.
So it was like this lion-like face, but it had the robe. It had the two like things. I don't know what you call it. The sash that comes down and everything, and it just looked at me, stared at me for a little while, and I knew that this was like a higher being. It was a very peaceful, like an all-knowing type of a being, and I just kind of went, okay, I'm gonna go back in my little cave now, and I went back. But it has never left me, never. Like I know I'll find out who that is, or talk to that being at some point. But I love meditation that will make you, go into these things.
Well, and Gina, this might be a little edgy for your show. I don't know, but some way to open that up is a little bit more as plant medicine, because part of what happens is that our ego is really tricky. It's like I got this download at one point that the ego is like a operating system, like a automatic operating system, like an auto drive. And when you decide that you want to like run the car, like you want to ride it yourself, then you have to prove to the ego that you can do that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of lessons, right? Because this is very like important hardware, so
definitely,
so we got to take care with it. So I think that your soul has to melt that defensive structures over time, and it's by negotiation. So the ego will eventually relax and allow more and more and more and more of the soul to come through. And the fear has to be shook loose. So the fear structures, there's a lot of fear that keeps the soul out, from really fully embodying. So that is how plants are smarter than us. I have to say, like, they're very smart and they know a lot more than we do. And they help us to relax the mind, because the mind is beautiful, but it also gets in the way of a lot. It thinks it knows everything, and it doesn't. And, the indigenous people know this. That's why they're more quiet and they listen more.
Right.
We're so loud. We're so like, with our jackhammers and our lawnmowers and everything. We're so
we're those little rats on the wheels.
like, is anybody listening to me? Like shouting at the top of our lungs.
Look what I do.
And meanwhile, like, all of this life is here around us, and they're like, man, calm down. Like, please be more quiet. So I feel like the plants are from other galaxies. I've had medicine ceremonies where I've realized that these different plants are from like different parts of the galaxy. Like they're teachers from other places in the galaxy, and they came here to Earth to sort of like be our school. And so we can learn from them and we can receive wisdom. And like tobacco is an excellent teacher. That's why Native Americans use tobacco to pray to spirit and to protect and to all the things. It's a good teacher. But if you disrespect it, you'll have a problem.
You okay, Mama?
You okay?
I'm about to sneeze.
No sneeze. Oh, she sneezes so cute too. It's this little chew. It's really funny. Sorry. She always mutes it, but I've heard it. It's really cute, people. But But yeah, no, I did. You did write about that in here, about the tobacco, that you were doing the tobacco, and when you first did it, that you could taste it. It was weird, and it wasn't right. But then when you got practice and you're accustomed to it, none of that even comes into play anymore, and you use it a lot. But explain again now, why is it that you use tobacco? Why do you think? What's the reason behind the smoke? And is there a pattern that you need to do?
Well, the tobacco plant is a plant teacher. So, and it's one of it's a very strong plant of protection and prayer and purification. So, it can be used in a number of ways. I mean, if you just think about like the Native Americans would have like the tobacco pipe, right? Like the pipe. And the tobacco goes in the bowl, and then you blow prayers like to spirit with the smoke. So it's like this is what the plant's there for, is to carry your prayers to spirit, and then also to cleanse your energy field. So it's useful in healing ceremonies and things like that. Yeah. And it's useful as protection. So I actually went to the jungle and I did dieta with tobacco, which is drinking tobacco juice prepared by the medicine man. And I wouldn't recommend anybody do this at all unless you're on the path, and you're working with somebody experienced from the jungle, right? Like this isn't at home. This is not an at-home thing.
Yeah, you're not opening, emptying cigarettes and drinking them, right? No,
not a good idea.
Not that. No,
this is because this is sacred plant medicine. This is because it's been prayed over. Has an intention. The plant's cooperating. It's used in a sacred way, and it's and the shaman has a relationship with the plant and is asking the plant on your behalf, to work with you. And then you're building a relationship with the plant now. And so I ingested this for a week. And what I noticed is that the moment the shaman said the prayer for the plant with me, all of a sudden tobacco didn't smell bad to me anymore.
Yeah, that's now that you won.
We have a good relationship now. So, and then when it went into my body, what I noticed was I could communicate with the plant inside of me, just in my thoughts. Like if I was working through some things that week that were uncomfortable, or, spiritual lessons or whatever. And I would just say in my mind, I would say, tobacco, that feeling in my stomach right there, can you clear that? And it would just go gone. Like,
wow.
Thank you.
Wait, I know. What do you say? Thank you. Come again.
That was easy, and so you just have to ask. So it's just this, I have a lot of respect for the medicine, and the medicine has respect for me. And so we have a relationship. So that's just a beautiful plant. People actually smell, sometimes I'll do a remote healing over the phone even, and I'll bring in the plant and they'll smell tobacco smoke. And I'll be like, that's cool. Yeah. I don't know how that works, but that's really cool.
Well, like the shaman, when they astral project, and they could bring a scent with them. They could bring an oil with them. They could, so that's how people would know that they were even visited. So I've heard of that. So that's something that you probably do and you don't realize it. Yeah,
I actually feel people's bodies. Like I almost merge with them, or I shapeshift into them, or something like that. Something like that happens, and I can feel everything in their body and what's going on. And
I don't know. I was doing learning pranic healing and Reiki and whatnot, and I was pulling, like in the classroom, we were pulling things out of people. But what I kept doing is pulling them out of them and just directly going into me. And it's like we were doing a thing. She had a problem with her stomach. This girl Barbara, and I went over her stomach, and I was just like, oh, it was horrible, and I just totally lost everybody around the room. Like it all disappeared, and I just was on that, and I pulled it, and everyone in the class and I felt it. My stomach just made that sound. When you go like that?
Yeah.
It went boom and into my stomach, and then all of a sudden I was buckled over. And
that was a lesson for you.
Yeah. It was like, throw it away. You don't take
boundaries.
Yes. I was like, oh my God. And then I had to work on, to get it out of me. And
we all go through that. We have to learn somehow.
Yes. Right? Yeah, well, that was a big one. That hurt. And I was like, oh, you poor thing. That must have killed you because
we learn really well that way, don't we?
Yes, we
Yeah.
don't do that again. Not at all. Oh, good. Now, Mama is a Reiki master too.
Awesome.
Yeah, she
She's
does.
gone through that lesson too, huh, Mama? You've gone through that
Oh,
lesson.
oh yeah. Oh, yeah. But
Oh, my.
for me, it was something that, like you said, it was like that smack upside the back of the head. Hello, darling, this is not what you're supposed to do. Yeah. And I had a couple of pretty good Reiki masters helping with me. So I was like, hello, excuse me, why? And they always had the answer for me, which was cool.
Yeah.
I have a quick question. How does someone know if they're a member of the second wave?
Well, let's explore that for a second. So probably feel like you're the only one like you in your family, or maybe there's one other, but there's not too many like that get you. And everybody else is sort of different and don't seem to understand some things that you seem to understand pretty well. And usually the family has some pretty sticky, deep patterns of suffering, some traumas through the family line that got passed on from generation to generation. And despite best attempts, they're still perpetuating through the line. And so it just needs a little extra support. And usually there's also some pretty powerful gifts on the other side of that line. Like it's a line of DNA that we want to keep. So as we move into New Earth, we're selected certain lines to continue and certain lines are not going to get continued, right? So we strategically picked certain lines that had really good lessons and gifts, like ancestors who really did their work. They really dug in, they learned, they cultivated gifts. But they probably still have some traumas, and some deep stuff that still needs sorting out, right? So we selected those so that we can move that wisdom and that healed pattern into New Earth. So that's what the second wave is here to do, is to embody and heal those patterns. So and also you might feel like you always knew that there was a big thing coming and you didn't know what it was exactly maybe, but you knew it was really important. It was on the way and you need to be prepared for it. And you about 3 years ago started getting the message, the time is now. Like, hurry up. It's time. Like you started getting the prompts, like wrap it up, heal, get it over with, like fix it or whatever it is. Like get yourself set in a good spot. Like, because you got work to do. Like you're going to have to now stop being so self-centered and focus out. Like you need to get ready. Like you need to have your gifts and your training and your everything.
It seems like the last 5 years, actually, since I started doing this radio show, a soul family has been gathering.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about it for the years, and like even the Celestian, I can never say the word prophecy, like all these things are going to end up coming to play in a huge way. And I think it's building up into all of this, like starting this year with all this crap going down now. Mm-hmm. And this is where everybody really needs to, focus and come together on a level playing field, and keep egos at bay, keep the rioters at bay, but this is the time. I think we've been talking about it really for like 5 years, especially on our show. So like this soul family, and I think you're part of it, it's really seriously got to come together, and we got to do our job. And that job is save our planet.
It is. The job is save our planet. Yeah.
Definitely.
But do you notice how things sort of fell into place which allowed us to go there? I mean, I know these are like taboo subjects, but I'm going to go there just slightly. COVID.
Yes.
It hit. But we had to stop. Everybody had to stop and do whatever the heck they had to do. The essential workers, God bless them, thank you very much. But the rest of us who were stuck at home, that gave us the time to go, hello, You stop having to go to work, stop having to do this, and you made you think about what you needed to fix on yourself that would help fix everything else. And it gave us the ability to and the stuff that's going on with the protesters, not for a good reason, but I mean for a good reason. It's allowing us that time now. COVID-19 is allowing them that time now to express that. And I mean, it's a horrible thing, but this is the perfect timing. Everything, as bizarre as it is, everything sort of falls into place. It allows us to stop and think and go, what the?
Yeah, because we're not running around chickens with our heads cut off. We're like at home going, wow, I just checked social media and I just found out, I just saw this clip of this man getting murdered by a cop, so we have to stop this. So it's kind of like people that it slows everything down, because the thing the ego does, ironically I said that word thing. What the ego does is make thing, right? Because in this space is spirit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the ego is like, things, it's like more things. You remember like last year was so busy, like things, it's like,
go here.
No, I don't want to wake up. No. And it's a great awakening is now. So it's space. So COVID is like such a great gift, because it on a number of levels. And I want to explain that, because I know people are losing people from COVID or don't feel like it's very much a gift. Yeah. But the thing about it is that some people don't want it. Some souls, let's say the word soul, some souls don't want to be on the planet for this next part, because it's going to be require some self-mastery.
It's going to be different. This is a pivotal moment in our history. All right, yeah. It's going to be good and it's going to be bad. The greedy will come out. I know that
everyone's going to be exposed.
Yeah. Yes. And that's what's going to happen. So you got to know, and we're going to know, because there's no hiding.
There's no hiding. And some, it's kind of the message I got, and this seems, this is not meant to be derogatory at all. It's just an explanation that I received. Is the analogy was, when you go to the community swimming pool, at a certain point, it's adult swim. And all the kids get out of the pool. And it's adult swim. So we're entering the adult swim. This time on the planet would be traumatic for some child or younger souls to be a part of.
I agree with you, because of that fact that the kids are being told to stay home. You know what I mean? They're prompted that way, to stay out of the way for that.
And because we have a lot, and also
it's going to get ugly and it's going to get beautiful at the same time.
But it's if we stop fighting it, right? If we stop judging COVID is actually a blessing sent to give souls a way to exit the planet with grace who don't want to be here. So it's a graceful way to go. It's very quick out, The second thing is it helps those who are really stuck in their story, in their identification and their ego stuff, and they can't get out of it. It loosens all the energy up, because where do we hold all that energy? We hold it in our lungs. We hold our grief in our lungs, our non-forgiveness, we hold our resentments and everything in our kidneys and our liver. And so what does COVID affect? All of our those organs. It affects the lungs, the throat. We couldn't speak. We can't speak it. So now it opens up the throat. It's like it clears just all these stuck energy out of your body that is keeping you spiritually stuck in your pattern. So it's a gift. It's huge. It's just taking all the karma and purging it out, because you can't seem to deal with it, right? And then I got this other message that Alzheimer's is like that too. Like, because at Alzheimer's, people that can't forgive, they lose their minds later on in life. So they don't even remember that they hated you. And now they can just get the love, right? They can just finally get the love, because they can't remember that they were supposed to hate you. So it's just, whatever Mother Nature needs to do to help you ascend your consciousness is what you're going to get. And we needed COVID.
Yeah, well, like I said, it's gonna have its ups, it's gonna have its downs, it's gonna have its
Not
good
fun.
points, it's gonna have its bad points, and that was a way to that was a viewpoint that I didn't even think of. But yeah, it definitely. I mean, I know. I got a friend of mine who lost his mom to COVID, and he's like just not. He's really, really negative about anyone that says anything about COVID, like you're saying, COVID being a blessing. He would be, if he was in this chat room right now, oh my good God.
Well, let's speak to that for a second, because he's not, but he might watch it back. So I want to say, sometimes also our elders make sacrifices because they know how much help and support we're going to need to go through this next phase of humanity on Earth. And they leave the physical dimension to come help us on the astral plane. So my dad did that 3 years ago. My dad, my beloved dad, who I just love so much. It's been such a guiding light in my life since I was 5. My dad died of a pneumonia, like a lung thing. Like the minute I had this meditation that I was ready to go. Like I was starting to ramp up. I was starting to do like these shows, right? Like I was starting to get into this part of my path. And like he died. Like after this powerful meditation I had, my mom called me and said, hey, where I was talking to the ancestors, I'm like, I'm ready to go. Like, come on, I got to do my bit. Like, support me. I'm ready. And I didn't know it was going to mean that. So right. My mom called me and said, your dad's in the hospital. Like, he's not going to make it. It's all this like instantaneous thing. And I had to drive back from this healing retreat that I was going to. And I had to go all the way back to be with him at 4:30 in the morning by his bedside.
Wow.
And a month later, he joined me in ceremony, and he has been, his energy has been with me ever since. Like he's right here with me because he agreed to be with me on this part of the journey. So sometimes our ancestors are leaving our beloved because they're going to be with us
in a different way. That's what I think, mm-hmm. Totally. Because they can only help you so much on this earthly plane. You can only learn so much. But once you pass over, once you cross over, you come back,
He's with me all the time. I'm like, Dad, a little privacy,
I know, right? Unbelievable guiding light, because now they know so much more about the universe and stuff.
Yeah, and there's no time zones. They don't have to worry about travel. They're there, and when they cross over, you don't have to worry about, is it Eastern time? Is it British time? Is it Pacific time? And how long do they have to travel? Oh, they're there.
They're right there.
Time has no meaning. And I understand the hurt that your friend is going through. Everybody understands it, and in a different dimension, to a different intensity. But everybody understands it, and it's not. And some people, I have a friend whose husband passed away 2 years ago, and she's still grieving him. And it's people be going to her, it's been 2 years. You ought to get over it now. Excuse me. There's no time.
There's no time limit. I still grieve my dad. I still cry.
Yeah, so. Of course. Yeah. My late husband, he died in 2011, and I still grieve that. Even though I've moved on and whatnot. But I mean, you still
Oh, he still pokes his head in on you.
Oh my God, yeah.
Well, see now here, this is another reason to get your hollow bone going, so that you can become aware of the ancestors that are right there around you. So if you lose somebody that you really love and you want to communicate with them, well, here's your impetus to get your intuition going and meditate and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yep. Yeah. Now you have a meditation, right? You have or several or.
I have recorded a bunch of them. I share a lot. I do a lot of healing work. I do a lot of healing work and whatever I'm called to do. I've got a bunch of them recorded and part of a program I do, Butterfly Circle, and it's a year-long program of transformation to get kind of hollow out the bone, right? Like you need help to do that. That's not easy.
Yeah.
The information for your courses. Hang on a second. The information for your courses. You don't have a YouTube channel.
Oh, I do. I do have a YouTube channel, but it's
that's the only link that I don't have.
I think. Do I have?
You can be found. Let's get this one on the air for those who don't get to see it on the video. Facebook,
BIT.org.
Instagram,
I have.
LinkedIn, and Kerri, put in Kerri Hummingbird, and you'll find her
Hold on.
because she's
Yeah.
everywhere.
I'm all over the place.
I have it. I'll be talking about.
People tell me that they're like, "You're everywhere." I'm like, I know.
She is, and
Spirit's putting me everywhere. So
Yeah.
I like.
Yes, Jean. Yes, Ashley. Butterflies. Me. Hello. No, you know that.
Yeah, talk more about that. About that process, and what you
the
go
butterfly
through.
process.
Yeah, and what people would have to do and how they can sign up and all that kind of stuff to do that.
Yeah. So if so the way that that the course has been structured for me to teach, because let's just be honest, this is a channeled course, so basically it has 3 parts. The first part is make it safe, because nothing's going to happen if it's not safe. If it's not safe, your ego just clenches and it's just not going to happen. So we want to make some magic and, make some delight, and open up that delight window again. If you got all kind of like disappointed in life, we need to open up the joy again. So we play some games of spirit and we open that up and get safe again.
YouTube.
I know I don't have like a beautiful URL.
So I can teach you how to get it done.
Yeah, she's tough.
So basically, the second part is when we go in the cocoon. So the first part's make it safe. We fatten up the caterpillar and get it really happy, and then we go cocoon time. And we have like the second part, which is like the cocoon, which is, okay, you got to dissolve the stuff, like all this stuff in your brain that you just learned that's actually holding you back from so much greatness that you don't even know. We got to become aware of that stuff and make a choice. Like if you become aware of it, release it. It doesn't have to be painful. Like you don't have to spend decades on a psychotherapy couch. This is just, however long it takes you to kind of get free of the crust. So we decrust people. And then in the last part, it's like, okay, it's deeper decrusting, like ancestral patterns, childhood healing, and things like that. Because by now you're safe and you can kind of open up unfold, the blossom. Like, okay, go in deeper, clear it out some more, let it like grow. And now it's like, what do you want? What would make your heart happy? Your heart happy, not your ancestors, your heart, because you're here. You're the one in the body. It's your life. You get to choose what you want,
Mm-hmm.
So, and your ancestors support you in that, but you just, the agreement is you clean up a little bit of that mess too, so you come in, you clean up a little bit of that mess, and then you get to have fun. So that's the agreement. So you just kind of, so you do a little of help and they do a little of help, and they give you their gifts and you say thank you and you clear up some of their stuff that didn't get resolved, and now you're free from it. So that's the basic process. And it takes about a year in a group setting to get through the thick layer, and if you're already been through a program, then you'll be quicker with it. I mean, I work with people at all levels, because we all can learn. I mean, there's, you can have a beginner in the group with an advanced person and be like, we're all learning here, like,
right. Yeah. You can never stop learning.
Exactly.
No.
Well, for me, butterflies, I work with butterflies. When I send my healing, it was just the animal that came to me when I needed to send my healing. Everything goes out on the wings of a butterfly.
Mariposa is a beautiful healer. She's got a lot of good medicine, and she's a very gentle but high integrity teacher. She'll show you if you're still holding on to a little identity there. Like,
what was the name again?
That's
Mariposa, which is the Spanish word for butterfly.
Okay. Yes.
And I have papillon, which is the French word for butterfly.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. Yep.
I forgot that word.
Yep, that's my dog. That's what's on that bench. She wants on my bench. I have a bench in my bathroom that's like it's an outside bench.
It's mine eventually.
Yeah, it's on her eventually. It's like broken pottery on the top of it. It's all butterfly.
Oh yeah, mosaic.
Mosaic. There it is. And it's got papillon. It says papillon on it, and there's butterflies all over it. So I got it because it was pretty one, but it had papillon on it, and that's my dog. And I'm like, oh, papillon. But I was like, oh, Mama, hey, I got a butterfly bench that you would probably love. But I have like I said, I told you before, I just wrote all in your book. and I have all these pages turned down. And I don't know if I want to.
That's when you know when a book has been really enjoyed, when there's a lot of dog-eared pages.
That's good. Yeah. People say they really, I'm still learning from it. I mean, I'll open it up and just kind of open to a page and say, okay, what do I need to hear today? And I'll open
I've done that.
Yeah.
That's a good one. And I'll read that segment to myself and I'll just be like, yep, I needed that one today because I'm still learning. I mean,
right.
It's integrating, like the downloads are awesome and channeling is great and I love it. And I love the realizations. I love the remembrances. It's like, oh yeah, I knew that. And then it's just fun to be a human and just like have to practice, you know, to remind yourself. Like this week with my stuff with my son, I really had to practice, like remember the things in the book. Like, oh, that's right. Okay. Okay, I need to do that one better. You know, like, oh, I could have been a little bit better of a courageous heart there, you know. And so it's just, you know, it's just grace for the experience.
All right. You know, you talk about prophecy of the eagle and the condor, right? The question says, how do you see that come into practical terms? But just explain what it was and how you wrote that in here.
Yeah, the eagle and the condor is a prophecy that that basically the condor is like the heart. It's the wisdom of the heart. And the eagle is the wisdom of the mind. It's the chatterbox. It's the wisdom of the mind. So we have the wisdom of the heart and the wisdom of the mind.
This is my old co-host right there. I was his co-host. It was his show before mine. Hey, Chris.
So it's like actually bringing the two aligned together in a better configuration is what we're doing right now. So I would say like European culture has been exemplifying the eagle, right?
Okay. Yep.
And making advances and pushing forward our intellect and all those kinds of things. And the more indigenous cultures or Latin American have been more of the heart, the condor. So now we bring both together. And together, when they're in right relationship, they work really well. And it's also like the masculine and the feminine energies, you know, so like Latin American cultures have more feminine influence, right? And we have, you know, more of a masculine influence in the European tradition. So we're more patriarchal, you know, we're
going to change
and all that. So we bring the intuition and the logic together, and then it's a beautiful gift. So that's what we're doing. We're merging all of this on the planet. So that's why it's interesting, because when you're talking about this, it's like not everybody's getting the same lessons.
Yeah. He's putting up hearts.
Yay, hearts.
I like hearts. Yep. It's really cool. All right, we're getting down to the end here. This is ridiculous. Yeah, it's 9:40, 10 minutes left. All right, I want to jump to the end here, and now you've been having fun with spirit and created an oracle game. Okay, tell us about the Love Mastery game, and you're going to gift that to everyone.
Yes, I am. It's a game I downloaded from my guide. So, you know, oracle games usually we kind of think of it like telling us what's going to happen, like predicting or something. This is more like telling us why it's happening. Like, why is that thing happening? What am I learning in this situation? What am I actually practicing and learning? So it teaches us about not only like the mastery lesson of that we're learning, a state of being, like what state of being are we practicing, but also like what mastery principle are we working to learn of living our lives with love. And it also teaches us about like earth allies, like tobacco. Like maybe tobacco might be exactly the ally that you need, that has wisdom and medicine for you to work through this challenge that you're having to get to a different place. So with all this information, you can kind of ask your question. You can roll the dice. I was like you can get like a 12-sided dice, like a little 12-sided dice.
Oh, cool.
Because there's like 12 things. So you can print, all you have to do is print the things out, the little game sheets, and cut them out and then print out the pages. And then you just roll the dice. Because
Cool.
it's like a game. And then you listen to your intuition and say, with all this information, okay, like I know from my challenge, like the sun wants to support me and tobacco wants to support me. And it's really about like being present, and it's about, this other mastery principle. Then you go like, okay, sit with that. Like, what do you think now? Like, why do you think this thing is happening for you right now? It just puts your brain in a different place where you're not arguing with the thing happening. You're like, oh, it's for me. Okay, now I think I know why it's happening. And you can figure out what you want to do about it.
Cool. That is cool. So how can people get this then? And
So
David's putting up stuff here. It says, one world, one family. Just a lot of bad. What is Relly?
Relatives.
Oh, I'm like, what's a Relly? He's from Australia. It's got to be in Australia.
Oh, Australia.
Ah, yeah.
Spreading kindness. Yes.
Spreading kindness is nice. That's a good thing. Yeah. So how can they get this Love Mastery game?
So the Love Mastery game is at my website, kerrihummingbird.com, Kerri, hummingbird.com, and then /play. So, because we're going to play. It's all about playing.
Well, we like playing.
Rather than thinking about like so much work. Because when we talk about spiritual, we usually talk about spiritual work. What if we started talking about spiritual play? It might be
more
fun.
Yeah, like the majestic 8-ball. Bub's up there. Yeah, right.
It is. It's like this game is sort of fun like that because you just roll the dice. Just like, oh.
Hey,
and isn't life a little bit like that? Aren't we rolling the dice all the time?
It is. Let's see. I want to so many things like we didn't ask you, like we have ready to ask you. Okay. Another thing, because now you're talking about mastery of love mastery. All right, now you say all you have to do is to show up with love. And what does that mean in practical terms? And how does that work? And you brought up that story with the blue jay in the book. So you reference that too.
Yeah, the blue jay. Yeah, the blue jay was really like wanting to get rid of me. I was in my tree above my fairy garden. I have this little fairy garden in my front lawn. Like I told you guys, my neighbors think I'm really weird. But I have the little fairy garden set up and I meditate out there and I sit out there. And this blue jay decided to make that his tree, like to her tree to protect her babies, right? She had her nest up there. And I didn't know it because I go out there every day, so it must have happened really quick. So I went out there this one day and I'm praying, but I'm thinking kind of about like courageous heart. Like what does a courageous heart mean? I was really grappling with this idea of a courageous heart and the lion. I had this lion energy, and I was going to make a logo for my fire walking business, like courageous heart, like rawr, that energy.
Burning mane. Yeah,
the mane and the power and all this kind of stuff. And as I was holding that energy, I was like opening sacred space and thinking about that. And this blue jay just started freaking out and like whoosh, like swooping by my head and like, hey, like,
yeah. What are you doing here? Get up.
What are you doing? And I could just feel it like aggressive. And I was like, why is this blue jay trying to combat me and all this kind of stuff? Finally, I realized it was because I was holding such an aggressive energy with this lion thing, like I was exuding this energy of lion and I just had to relax it. Like, wait a second. And how am I showing up? What does a courageous heart really mean? And so I realized it was really more about realizing I don't need defenses. Like on the first part of our spiritual journey, we really feel like we need like shields and like walls and like keep everybody out and like knives
and ground and shield and protect and wall up to here.
It's all about protecting. And but as the fear starts to come off, it's less about protecting. It's more about like
understanding,
knowing that love is your protection. Like the love inside of every single cell of your body is their protection.
Yeah.
And you're okay. You're okay. Just you did the sneeze.
Bless you. Yeah.
Bless you. But that love, that was like a yes. Your spirit guides are like, yes. the love is the protection. I mean, that's what it is. It's like
Right.
the more you love, the less you're afraid.
It's like, okay, you go up to an animal, you go up to a horse, you're nervous. The horse is going to be
You
nervous.
feel it.
The horse will buck you off, right? It's the same thing. People, you go up to somebody and you're nervous, they're going to know it,
Yep.
So, yeah, whatever energy you're feeling, you are putting out there. So if it's fear, if there was that aggression, that bird had babies up in the nest, and you're gonna come, you're this lion, and you're gonna eat my babies, so of course it's gonna attack you. But as soon as you realized it, and calm down, and the bird stopped.
Yeah.
So that's a huge lesson, on how how important it is to
Soften.
Center, ground.
Soften.
You know what I mean? Get yourself in a good place before you venture. Like if you're nervous about going to, say, I don't know, one of your circles, one of your
Firewalkers.
yeah, something, a group, and you're nervous about it. Something bad's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
No, you have to hold the faith. Yeah, you got to really keep it grounded and safe and melted. It needs to melt.
Yeah.
Relax.
So that's a big thing. All right, we're down to like a couple minutes. All right, when do you do your Soul Nectar show?
Once a week. It gets released on Sundays, and they are at my website, soulnectar.show, or on iTunes, or on YouTube, or on Vimeo. So I've got a lot of places, and I have a Facebook page for Soul Nectar Show that I put links to different episodes every night. So you could, just kind of follow that and for Soul Nectar Show and just click that and you'll see them. But the website has all the episodes and they get released once a week. I like to interview people just like you guys do. I like to just hear people's stories, like what it is that they go through and how they got on their path. Like what was their journey like? It's interesting.
It definitely is. And we're learning. We're always learning from whoever we have on here. We're always learning. So that's awesome. And I want you guys to follow her. Watch some of the things she's done. You have a very cool show. You have a really unique guest. I like it. Just some of the things that you do in your
90
post.
seconds.
Shut up. But some of the things that you do when you post are just you're just so real, and I love that about you and what you're putting out in this book and potentially in the other books, because I haven't read them yet, but I say yet because I do want to get I really do. I just love the way you wrote this. So to get to know you more, I would
60 seconds.
I would really like to do that. So I do hope that you guys do too. So, share the show, go to her page, go to her YouTube channel, subscribe.
I put a few links in the chat room so everybody can go check that out.
Yeah. And do all of that. And I'd love to have you back on again. And when you get the new book out, when you finally get through that one, because that's going to be a challenge.
It's easy.
That will be a challenge. And you can see that book. I put it up there. It's right there. That Fierce Love. That's the one she's working on now. All right, that will be her next book. So again, thank you for being with us. I have to play our little exit video.
Thank you.
But hang for a few minutes here.
Night, everyone.
Thank you again for joining us for another episode of The Fox Den. We would love it if you would go over to our YouTube channel, which is The Fox Den, hosted by Gina Bankston. Please like and subscribe our channel and join us in the chat room there while we stream live every Thursday evening from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll see you next week. Good night.